Hello, last year at about this time I finished the first 10 episode arc from this beautiful single player world. I took a big break, but now it's coming back. So here are all the episodes in one single video for your easy enjoyment. Quick warning though, for the first 3 episodes I was really in teacher mode, but don't let that discourage you if you're not that interested in that part. Just skip ahead, it's all fine. We eventually move on and start building some pretty cool stuff, if I can say so myself. So let's get started with episode 1, which is the closest thing to a bottle episode that I've ever made. Hello and welcome to a brand new world. So in this world we're going to be playing with Create. I haven't played this mod in a while and I really like it, so I really miss it. So yeah, I decided to play that mod in single player, and as you can probably notice from the absolute lack of good things in my inventory and in my chests, it's still very early game, so I thought it would be a great opportunity to kind of show how to get started in Create, at least for like maybe the first 2 episodes or something. But before we get started, I wanted to talk about the different mods that I'm gonna be using on this world. So obviously there is Create. I'm also gonna be using Create Deco because it brings a lot of very cool stuff. It looks really good and like it really blends in well with regular Create mod. And finally, you might have noticed it already, but there's this little menu here on the side. I think it's called Roughly Enough Items. I don't remember the actual name, but it's actually recommended by the people that made Create that you use this mod with their mod, because it just makes things a whole lot easier. Because there's a bunch of stuff with Create that require some weird mechanics to be crafted. So for example, train tracks are a good example of that. That's how you make a train track. So it cannot work with the recipe book here, so it's just a lot more convenient to have all that information from within the game instead of having to leave the game to go to the wiki for stuff like that. Okay, now that all of that is out of the way, we can start making some cool contraptions. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a mechanical press. So where is it? There it is, mechanical press. So we're gonna need a shaft and a side casing and a block of iron. So for the shaft and the andesite casing, we're gonna need to make some andesite alloy, and I'm gonna grab these iron ingots to make the block. So block of iron, and for the andesite alloy we need andesite, of course, and some iron nuggets. I think zinc nuggets would work as well, but I wouldn't recommend it because zinc is not renewable while iron is. So yeah, better choice to use iron. So you can make your andesite alloy, and with that you can make a shaft. And to make the andesite casing, again a good use for the menu right here on the side, just to show you how it works. So you need to apply andesite alloy to a stripped log. So we have this log here, we're gonna strip it and apply the andesite alloy, and ta-da, we got some andesite casing, and we have entered the andesite age. And with that we can make the mechanical press. Perfect. Now, we're only missing one little thing. This mechanical press needs to be powered. So let's go ahead and make ourselves some cog wheels and a water wheel. If we put the water wheel here and make a little hole here in the ground and one in the ceiling, just to avoid some spillage. The wheel's rotating, but it's kind of slow. So we're gonna use the cog wheel. So you put a large one and put a small one attached diagonally, and this one's going twice as fast as this one. So at least our mechanical press is gonna be a tiny bit faster. The mechanical press here is gonna be used to turn some metal ingots into metal sheets, which are some very useful crafting ingredients. But to help with that, we're gonna need to make a depot. When you put it under the press, it's gonna hold some items and it's going to flatten them into sheets. So, first thing we're gonna need to make is the wrench, which requires 3 gold sheets, and the goggles, which requires 1 gold sheet. So that makes 4. So let's go ahead and turn them into sheets. That's quite slow. See, it would have been even slower than that if I hadn't put the cogwheels here. There we go. It's done. We got our sheets. Now we're gonna need, I think for the wrench, yeah, it's a stick and a cogwheel. So let's pick the stick and make ourselves the cogwheel, and we got the wrench. The wrench is super useful because it allows us to insta-break anything made with Create, so that's a very, very great tool. For the goggles, we're gonna need some glass, so we're gonna need to smelt some sand. But there's no way I'm going outside to gather sand. That place is terrifying. We're gonna need string, but somehow I already have some of that. I probably killed a spider at some point or something. Probably killed a creeper as well. Don't ask me how. But yeah, not going back outside. However, there is a quick and easy solution to all of our problems, because we can make a millstone. So like that, with the andesite casing and the cogwheel, we can make a millstone. And if we power it, so let's put a big cogwheel here. We need another cogwheel. Cool thing about the large cogwheels is you can place them perpendicular to one another, so they change the axis of rotation. So that is very, very useful. And now we have powered the millstone, and I think we just throw the granite in there, so it's gonna crush it into red sand that we can then smelt into glass. Just like that, we got some goggles, which are very, very useful. Beyond just looking extra cool, they give you a lot of information about... See what I told you? It's terrifying out there. Yeah, the goggles are giving you information about different things, like different contraptions. So for example, when we're looking at this water wheel, it's giving us the amount of stress unit, so that's kind of the amount of energy that the water wheel's generating. So that's how you get these basic tools. And I thought for the rest of this episode, we could try and reach the point where we get brass. It's a more advanced material that you get from mixing zinc and copper together, but there's it's a bit more complex than that. So to get brass, we need a mechanical mixer. So we're gonna need a whisk, which requires 5 iron sheets. So we're gonna put them in. Oh, right, we remove the press. That, and that. So let's put the press back in place. Throw those on there. Perfect. So that's our iron sheets all flattened, so we can make a whisk. And can we make the mixer? There it is. And we're also gonna need a basin. And that's how we're gonna power our mixer. It needs a pretty high minimum speed, so that's why I had to add 2 setups to double the speed. And we had the basin right underneath here. It needs to be 1 block off of the ground because we're gonna put something underneath here. We're gonna need to put a blaze burner, and to get one of those, we're gonna need to go to the nether. I'm a bit scared, but you know, we gotta do it. So to do that, we're gonna need a nether portal, of course. So we're gonna need some obsidian, but I don't have diamonds. That's a big problem. I do not have any diamonds yet, so I guess I'm gonna have to figure out another way to get obsidian. I found this perfect little lava lake that just has one slight little issue. It's very far away from my base, and I am both too cheap to make 10 buckets to carry the lava that I need upstairs, and too lazy to make the trip back and forth 10 times. So we're gonna have to figure out another solution, but don't worry, I have just the trick using, of course, stuff from Create. Create is so amazing, bringing us solutions to problems we wouldn't even have in vanilla Minecraft. So here's the solution to the problem that I had. Just gonna clean up around this block. That's perfect. So we're gonna use a mechanical drill, and I have to check if it works, but we're gonna try and add some cogwheels to make it run a bit faster. So let's check it out. Yeah, it's kind of slow, but it's working, so that's good. That's good. Okay, it's super slow. Although now that I think of it, I don't know if it's slower than like with just an unenchanted diamond pickaxe. Yay! That was so slow. And it takes a lot of food as well. But you know, it works. So we got obsidian without even getting a single diamond. That's an achievement, I guess. In a way, we made it. We got our 10 obsidian. It took ages, but we made it. So let's just clean up and go to the nether now. The portal frame is done. I got the flint and steel. So let's hope for the best. Actually, I'm just gonna drop all that I have, just to make sure that, you know, in case we get something very, very horrible on the other side. So yeah, let's go. Okay. Okay, Basalt Delta. Could have been worse. Could have been better, but it could have been worse. Okay, that's great. So first we need to gather some resources, but before we do that, let's just make the whole place a tiny bit safer, because, you know, I'm bad at placing blocks apparently, but I'm bad at surviving in this stupid game. I'm just gonna fall in lava. That's pretty obvious. Like, look at that. Just trying to kill me. Stupid game. But yeah, we need to gather a few things. So some bits of netherrack, and we need, according to my calculations, we're gonna need 7 bits of quartz, and that looks like it's gonna be enough. So good. That's 10. That's great. That is great. We got all the quartz we need. So to make a blaze burner, we need to, well, there's a mysterious conversion from an empty blaze burner. So we just need to make an empty blaze burner with netherrack and some iron sheets. And then we trap a blaze inside the blaze burner just by right-clicking on a blaze or a blaze spawner. But that does mean that we need to find a fortress, which is always a great experience. I found my way to a nether fortress, and well, I did die on the way there because of a stupid piglin, but you know, let's just move on. So now we can start working on making our blaze burner. There we go, empty blaze spawner. Now we just need to find a blaze to put inside of it. So let's go back to the nether fortress. So we are inside the fortress now, and I completely forgot to bring blocks. So hopefully we don't find a wither skeleton before we find... I can just grab some blocks here. But yes, anyway, hopefully we don't... We find a blaze before we find a wither skeleton. Because it's gonna be a bit annoying. Oh, let's grab some of that first. That's good. Let's grab them all. Well, that's gonna be a great fortress in the middle of one of those. Oh, there's a blaze. There's a blaze. Come here. Get inside my box, blaze, please. Ooh. Oh, I'm gonna take the saddle. Whatever. Where are you? Oh, I can hear a wither skelly, but I can hear a blaze here. There you go. Thank you. Now let's run away. We made it in one piece. Apparently I cannot aim when placing blocks now, but yeah, that's great. We survived. That's awesome. Let's just rearrange everything. We're gonna need to put this thing here and that here, and perfect. The mixer's working. We got our blaze burner underneath. I gotta throw things in there. There we go. I said throw things in there. Perfect. So if I heat it, we are gonna get some brass. There's some brass ingots in the basin now. That's amazing. I love it. I'm gonna grab some more. But yeah, that's a successful mission. Did that work? It did not work. Yeah, successful mission. We have what we aim to get for the end of this episode. So I think that's where we're gonna end it. So thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one. Bye bye. Hello and welcome back to my single player create world. Today we have a lot of stuff planned and it's all gonna start with an adventure. Because, well, first of all, I realized I haven't showed you the outside world. And also I need a lot of stuff from said outside world. So yeah, need to go out and explore the place. So it's a very, very pretty looking place. Just look at that nice mountain. Creepers also, very, very stupid creepers. Dang it, I'm gonna clean this up later. Actually I needed to bring some wheat because yeah, we need to get a lot of stuff. So we need to get some sheep. Do I have shears? I do not have shears. We need to get wool, we need to get sheep, we need to get kelp, we need to get a bed, we need cactus, we need all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I think there's a village close by. I really haven't explored all that much around the area, but I think I've seen a village somewhere over that way. So let's just go and take a look if we can see something. Yeah, there's a village over there. So let's go there. At least we will get a bed. And thus started our adventure. So we explored the woods, we swam for a little while, we met some new friends. It didn't go as well as it could have, so we started all over again. Finally managed to cross the river and reach the village that we looted for everything valuable that we could find. We finally met some sheep, sheared them, and brought them back inside a house so that they wouldn't run away. And then we started exploring some more, found some trees, all sorts of valuable resources, bamboo, some more types of wood, and we finally got the cactus that we needed. And now that we're back home with all those resources, we can finally get started with all the cool contraptions that we're gonna build today. But you might have noticed I've been quite insistent about getting cactus, which, I agree, sounds like a very weird priority, but trust me, it's gonna give us access to one of the most useful tools that we could get, super glue. So to get super glue, you need slime balls, which is quite easy to obtain. You just kill a slime, except we haven't seen a single slime yet in this world, so no slime balls are easily available. But luckily, we have a quick and easy solution. We can craft slime balls with lime dye and dough, which we can get. It's a bit of a rabbit hole again, but we can get it from wheat flour, which we can get by throwing some wheat in a millstone. So it's all very, very easily accessible now that we have cactus. But before I explain why glue is gonna be so important, let's talk about the plans for today. We're going to set up contraptions to gather resources and quickly dig out huge areas. So let's start with this little room over here. I want to dig a big hole in the floor and bring it all the way down to bedrock. Now, of course, we're not going to use stone tools for that. That would be very, very silly. Instead, we're gonna use a mechanical drill, which we can attach under a rope pulley. So, if we place the rope pulley here, and the drill right there underneath, spin it so it's going down, and put the hand crank here, as you can see, oops, if I spin the handle, it's gonna move down and it's gonna start digging in the floor, and I can pull it back up and see we broke that block here. Now you might notice a few little problems so far with that whole situation. The first one being that it's quite small, it's only digging one block at a time. So to help with that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a lot more drills. Just like that, we covered a big chunk of the floor in drills. Again, slight problem. It's only grabbing onto one of the drills, and that's where the glue is gonna become super useful. If we glue everything together, we can now start spinning it other way around. There we go. No. We're having some technical difficulties. I'm sorry about that. But now all 25 drills are going down and breaking the floor. Let's just put a torch back here because we don't see anything, and eat a little bit. But there is still one slight problem. If we pull it back up, oops, again broke the torch. As you can see, all the resources are still on the ground down there, which can be a bit of a problem because it's gonna take more than 5 minutes and stuff is gonna start despawning. But again, that's a problem that can be solved by glue, because if we place some, for example, some barrels, could be anything with an inventory, but if we place those blocks here and we glue them with the rest of the machine, like so, and now we put this here, like so. Well, now, if we start digging, it's gonna end up in, well, one of the barrels, not sure which one. Probably gonna be the one that's hidden, of course, just to make things... Oh, there it is. So that's where all the blocks are gonna end up instead of just being left on the ground to despawn. And that brings us to the last little problem with this machine. I'm not gonna stay here and activate it by hand. I'm gonna need to automate it, which is not that big of an issue because we have a water wheel that's not being used currently. So yeah, let's automate this whole thing. So now we have another slight issue. The way I'm powering it right now, it's spinning it the wrong way around. But do not worry, there's a solution to that. So if we make a gearbox, we're gonna be able to reverse the direction of rotation. So now if we put it here, now it's going down, and it's digging, and we have a hole all the way down to bedrock. Hello! So yeah, now we can bring the whole thing back up. So if we just replace the gearbox that we added with just a simple shaft, it's gonna change the direction of rotation, and now the whole machine's coming back up. Alright, the machine is back up, so let's take a look at what we've gathered so far. Oh, some Viridium, Deep Slate, and yeah, that's good, that is good. How about here? Okay, so there isn't too much stuff yet, but it's okay because we are not done. We're gonna dig this entire floor, so what we now need to do is push the machine over that way a tiny bit. And to do that, what we're gonna use is a mechanical piston. So that's pretty much the same idea as a regular vanilla piston, except that we can extend its reach indefinitely. So, let's just hope I don't hurt myself doing that. But if we do that, see, we can push the entire thing that way. So that means we can move the entire contraption as a single unit, so we don't have to tear it down and rebuild it over there. We just push it this direction, and then we can extend our hole in that corner there. Look at that big hole. So what we need now is a way to get safely down to the bottom of the hole and back up again. But they already thought of everything. So there is something called an elevator pulley, and it's gonna solve all of our problems. So I already have almost all the materials required to make it. All I'm missing is the brass casings, but we can make them with the usual way, like so. And we have even entered a new age, the brass age. That's perfect, and we can make our elevator pulleys. But to make them work, we need a few more things. So first of all, we need some redstone contacts. So these things will detect each other. So if I put a redstone contact, well, not here, let's put it like so. Also, by the way, I completely forgot to mention, but that's a super important use of the wrench. You can rotate things. Oops, you can break things, but you can also rotate them. Anyway, totally forgot to mention it in my first episode. But yeah, redstone contacts here will recognize each other, and they will emit a signal if they're facing each other. So that's what we're gonna use to detect the floors of our elevators. We'll see it in a minute. And finally, we need to make a contraption control, and for that we're gonna need some rose quartz. Then we're gonna need to polish it with some sandpaper to get polished rose quartz, which we can craft into an electron tube and then into a contraption control. And with that, we're ready to build the actual elevator. So I already made the platform as well as a little safety floor because I'm very bad at surviving. So we just place the pulleys right here above the platform. We actually only need one, but I think it's gonna look better with 4. So we just place them like so. Place a contraption control here, and then we need to remove this. Gonna place a redstone contact, turn it around, perfect. And we're gonna place another redstone contact facing into the other one, like so. Oops, no, I need to do something before that. Now we glue everything together, including this redstone contact. So this one's going to be part of the elevator, this one's going to be to indicate the floor. we can put this block back here and glue all of that together. And if we right click, oh, it needs to be powered. Give me a second. So as I was saying, if we power the elevator pulley and then we right click on it, it's gonna attach to the elevator, and now, well, we have an actual elevator, and the redstone contacts turn into elevator contacts. I think that's what they're called. But yeah, they didn't look like that before that. So what we need to do now is go into super dangerous mode, head down at the bottom of the hole to put another redstone contact, and I don't have a button. No! That's annoying. Well, at least now I can grab my button. Oh, I still need to... that's annoying. I don't have a bucket. I'm way too poor in terms of iron to actually make another bucket, so we're just gonna do that and hope for the best. Stupid skellies. Well, that could have gone better, but, you know, at least we made it now. So the elevator contact was... oops, no, right here. So, yeah, perfect. So now the redstone contact is actually an elevator contact, so the elevator is gonna recognize it. And if we... oops. Dang it, stupid water. We're gonna need to plug the hole back up upstairs, but if we press the button, it's gonna call the elevator. Might be a bit slow though. Yeah, no, it's coming, it's coming. Perfect, we have our elevator, though the pulleys don't seem to be rendering right now, but yeah, let's ignore that. So yeah, how it works is, well, we have the elevator control, so we can control what floor we're going to when we're on the elevator. And if we power the redstone contact, or the elevator contact here, it will bring the elevator to where we are. So now we can select floor 0 and head back up to clean up our mess. So the lesson here is we really need to make this whole thing safer, but it works. So let's plug that here and ta-da! We have a working elevator. That's great. And one of the very, very cool things about these elevators is that we can have as many floors as we want, and we can name them however we want. So I've added a lower mine, that's where we were earlier, so that's just the bottom of the world. And in an upper mine, so that's going to be kind of the transition between stone and deep slate. Sometimes you want to mine there instead. And well, we have the exit, but that's here. There's nothing special here. But that is gonna open up the possibility to start mining with some cool machines. And to do that, we're gonna work with something called a cart assembler. So that's how you craft it. And you also need rails and a minecart for that. So here's how it works. You place a rail on the ground with the cart assembler on top of it. You can place a lever on the side or just any way to power it, and you place a minecart in the cart assembler, and then whatever you put on top. So I got nothing. Let's just grab some basalt. So if I put some basalt here, right now the block is just on top of the cart assembler, but if I power it, now the block of basalt is on top of the minecart, and I can even pick it up just like that. So yeah, it's attached to the minecart, so we can make contraptions attached to minecarts that are gonna travel on rails and do, well, whatever we want them to do. So for example, we can do something like that with a big wall of drills. We can glue everything together with those barrels, and when we power it, we will get a machine that moves around on rails, and that will break a bunch of blocks and gather them. So let's just go and take a look at that little thing in action. So that little contraption that I've built, how it's gonna work is quite simple. We're gonna put it on the track here, and right now the drills are inside the wall, And when we start it, so when we flick that lever, the minecart's gonna start traveling that way, and all the drills that are now inside the wall are gonna just break all the blocks, so it's kind of gonna just push that wall back. So we need to place it just like so along a wall, and it's just gonna extend a room. So it's quite useful to dig large rooms very, very quickly, or at least a lot quicker than we would get with his stone pickaxe. See, just like that, we now have that whole area dug out. So let's just start lighting things up. And you might have noticed that the drills are recessed by one block. That's just so that it doesn't dig like further into the wall at the end here, so that way it's a lot cleaner. The only little problem we have is that this little line here of blocks is still there, but we can just run it along there and it's gonna solve all of our problems. And just like that, we have cleared out a big room where we'll get to build a lot of cool contraptions in the future. So this machine was super useful, but it does have its limitations. Because, well, since we need to place the rails in an area that's already been dug out, it's really not the best when we want to dig out tunnels. For something like that, placing the minecart behind the drills would be a lot better. That way, we can add rails as the tunnel's being dug out, and let it expand as much as we need. But it does come with its limitations because we need to manually do the whole process, and there's better ways to do that. So there's this thing called a deployer, which does a lot of cool stuff, including placing blocks, and that's the part we're gonna be using in our tunnel digging machine. And that is the contraption that's gonna solve all of our problems. So let's look at the front first. We got two deployers, and as you can see, they have filters on the side, so we can tell this one to only place redstone blocks, and this one to place powered rails. So what that's gonna do is, this one's gonna place a redstone block right here, and as it goes forward, it's gonna make a trail of redstone blocks behind it, and this one's gonna be able to place powered rails on top of those blocks, so they're going to be powered. So it's going to make a track for the minecart to roll on. So yeah, the machine's just going to make its own minecart track to move itself around. And from the back here, we got this here, that's a plow. It's going to remove the powered rails and put them back in the machine's inventory. And this drill here is going to remove the redstone blocks and also put them back in the machine's inventory. So it's just going to recycle everything, all the blocks that are going to be placed, they're going to get picked up again at the end and placed back again in the front. So yeah, super useful machine. Let's look at it in action. Wait, did I glue everything together? I did not. There we go, that's kind of important. So let's start it like so. We can pick it up, and actually I'm just gonna remove all of that, and might need to add 1 or 2 bits of rails. But if I put the rest here in the inventory and I push it around, slight technical difficulties, let's start this over again, and just like that, it's going, it's moving, that's perfect. So all we need to do now is to glue the drills to that machine, and there we go. It's ready to start mining for us, and it's working just as intended. That's perfect. There's only one slight issue that you might notice. It's getting kind of dark behind it, so we need just to make one slight modification. So all we need to do is put a deployer behind it, like so. Rotate it the right way, just like that. Put a torch in its filter and some torches in the inventory. Make sure it's glued to the rest of the machine, and again, it's ready to go, and now it's gonna light everything behind it. And just like that, if we get it going, it's gonna leave a trail of torches behind its path. So all we need to do is remove them once in a while and put them back in the inventory. But other than that, it's making everything very, very safe. One more slight issue also that I just realized. Okay, I don't know what happened here, but yeah, flooded caves will cause some problems. I'm not sure what happened here. That should not have happened. It should be able to go through flooded caves just like normal. But the only problem is going to be with the torches. They're not going to stay there. They can't be just left there underwater. But other than that, yeah, it works perfectly. And when we're done, we can grab all the resources that we have collected and put them into our storage. There are ways to automate that process with Create, but sadly we don't have time to talk about that in today's episode, so we're gonna have to end things here. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye! Welcome back to my Create world. I hope everyone's doing good. I'm doing fantastic myself. In today's episode, we have something very, very important planned. We're finally going to build something pretty. So let's be honest, it's about time. I haven't released my first episode yet as I'm recording this, but I'm expecting a few comments about making an entire video inside of a square box with stone walls. So yeah, we need to build something pretty. But before we do that, we ended the previous episode already with a plan. We need to take care of all the resources gathered by our cool new drilling machine. So let's start with the ores. Now, in regular old vanilla Minecraft, we could just throw these raw ores inside of a furnace and be done with them. But as always, Create offers some much better possibilities. So first we will need to crush our ores into small bits using some crushing wheels. Only problem is, they are too big for a regular crafting table, so we're gonna need to make a mechanical crafter first. Mechanical crafters are super useful because, well, first they allow you to make larger crafting grids, and also you can use them to craft stuff automatically. So for our crushing wheels, we need to place 21 mechanical crafters in that shape, and then we can take our wrench and use it on the crafters to rotate these little lines, these connectors around. So we need to have exactly one pointing out of the whole grid, and all the other ones need to be connected directly or indirectly to that one, to the exit. Something like that would work perfectly fine, so now we just need to power it. So for that we're gonna be using a big water wheel, and I promise we're gonna get something better soon, but not today. And just like that, we have a working crafter, and it's overstressed. It's going too fast. Let's correct that. And just like that, we have a working mechanical crafter, so all we need to do now is place all the ingredients in the appropriate spots. And I know that there is a mechanic that allows you to like link some spots together with the same ingredient. I'm not gonna bother with that today. We might work on that later, but if we place this last one here, there it goes. Oh, it's so slow. Yeah, we're gonna need something better than water wheels for the future. But yeah, just look at it go. It's a very cool animation. And finally, we have our crushing wheels. Great, we can remove that, we're not gonna need it for now. And with a little setup like that, we can put the crushing wheels there. There's just one thing that you need to make sure of. Make sure they're spinning the right way. There we go, that's better. So now we can finally crush our ores, so let's make a little staircase up to here and throw them. Dang it. That's gonna be a bit dangerous. There we go, okay. Why did it not go in? There we go, like that, and we throw them in, and they're all gonna get crushed unless I pick them up like so. There we go, perfect. So you see the gold is getting crushed, and soon we will have some stuff fall out. There it is. So we got crushed raw gold and some nuggets of experience. So those nuggets of experience are basically experience points that you can just take whenever you want. So instead of getting the XP right now, I can keep it in my inventory, and when I need it, I can take it. So I'm just gonna put it away because I don't need XP now. And now we're gonna let the wheels do their thing. Now that we have our crushed ores, we can go ahead and smelt them as if they were regular raw ores, except that it's not the best thing to do. We have some better options. So there's this thing called an encased fan, which blows air in a given direction, so we can craft it like that with a propeller, and like so. And we can use that thing to push mobs and items. But there are a few things that we can put in the airstream to get various effects. Using lava, we can smelt items without using any fuel, but for our ores we have an even better option than that. By putting water in front of the fan, we can instead wash our crushed ores, and that gives us a chance to get some bonus items. And just like that, we got our gold and a bit of quartz with it. So now all we have to do is automate the process, because I'm not gonna do all of that manually. So here's an easy way to automatically process our ores. So there's this barrel here, we're gonna drop all of our ores in there. There's this little thing here underneath, it's called a funnel, and it acts like kind of a dropper and a hopper both at the same time. So it's grabbing items from the barrel and it's throwing them down into the crushing wheels, where they get crushed, and then they fall on this conveyor belt, which brings them along here, where they get washed. So at the speed that the belt is going, it required 4 fans, but yeah, it works, it does everything we need. We get our nuggets. It's not ingots, but it's enough nuggets to make an ingot each time, so there's no actual loss. And just like that, we get some bonus items. So here, with gold, we got quartz. The iron's giving us redstone as well, which is always good. Zinc is gonna give us, I think it's gunpowder, and copper's giving us clay balls, I think. But yeah, always fun to have these bonus resources. Oh, and by the way, that thing here at the end, that's another funnel, so it's the same thing as that, except that this one's vertical. So it's just picking up the items, and well, as you probably noticed already, it's putting them inside the barrel. Now that we've taken care of our ores, we need to take care of all the other blocks and items that our drilling machine's gonna gather for us, as we could just grab them manually by hand, but that's gonna be boring if we do it like that. Of course, we can automate the process, and it's gonna become a bit necessary to do it automatically, because that thing is going to become a lot bigger. So to automate that process, what we're going to need to do first is make some portable storage interfaces. So they are crafted with chutes. They're kind of item pipes in a way. I haven't used them yet in this world, and I don't use them a lot, but they can be quite useful. But anyway, we make portable storage interfaces first. And now we're gonna need to put one of those on our machine, so we need to disassemble it, like so. There it is. Place it here, spin it around, and glue it with the rest of the machine. Perfect, now we can reassemble it, and now it has its item interface. So what that thing does is, if there's another one right in front of it, like so, they're gonna connect together, and this one's gonna have access to all the inventory of the contraption, even if it's in a contraption mode. Otherwise, there would be no way to actually extract any of the items from these chests with the machine. So now if, for example, we connect a brass funnel, just like the things we have over there, these are andesite funnels. Here we're gonna be using brass funnels for a reason that's gonna make a lot of sense a bit later. But if we place one here and we switch it around, it's gonna start extracting the items from the contraption just like that. So of course we do not want these items to just fall on the ground, so we're gonna put a conveyor belt right here, and now all the items are gonna end up on the belt when it starts spinning, and I don't have my hand crank. Give me a second. It's gonna be a bit better like that. So if we activate that conveyor belt, it's gonna grab the items and send them somewhere else. So what we're now gonna do is extend this belt over here, and we're gonna put another belt to the side like so. So it's gonna make a secondary path. However, items cannot jump from one belt to the other. So for that, we're going to be using some brass tunnels. So the items are going to get in from this side here, and will either get out from this side or that one. And the reason we are using brass is because they have filters on the sides. So we're going to be able to put some filters. So if we open it and put all of our raw ores in it, we can put that filter on that side here. And so all the ores are going to go through and exit that way, and everything else is just gonna go through and exit on that side here. So let's take a look at that thing in action. Let's throw that here, and if we start spinning the crank, it's splitting things off as we want. Ores are on this side, so they're close to the crushing machine. And everything else is ending up here, so it's going to be sent to another storage that we're going to work on in a minute. But before that, you might remember that we also have a brass tunnel here. And that's for the same reason, because filters can be used in, well, that way they're used in allow mode, but they can also be used in deny mode, so they're going to block certain items. So if we put it in deny mode and empty it, we can put our redstone blocks, rails, and torches in that filter. So that means that they're gonna stay inside the machine when we empty it. So we won't have to like go into the storage and grab these items and put them back in the machine when we want to use it. So now that all of that is done, we can work on the actual storage system. So there's gonna be a big cut just to give me time to build everything, but don't worry, you won't even notice it because look at that. It's already built. So here we have the part that we already had. So this belt is gonna throw the items into this chute. Talked about chutes earlier in this episode. I said I rarely ever use them, but they were actually the perfect solution to a problem that I had, because I needed to move items from this belt to that one here, and chutes can move items diagonally. So yeah, that's the perfect solution to that. So let's just start the machine actually, so we can see it in action as I explain how things go. So items, oh, we got an advancement as well. But yeah, items are sent here, they get then sent over here on this belt, where they're gonna go up, and then they are going to go on top of these vaults. So they are like huge containers, pretty useful. And yeah, they're gonna get filtered, so like deep slate goes in this one, cobblestone here. And yeah, I just filtered everything. I just grouped some of the stones that we're gonna get a bit less of. So yeah, that's all the bulk resources that we have at the moment. It might change in the future because there's a bunch of resources that I don't have yet. And finally, we have this last vault here at the end where we will get all the other items, everything that won't fit into our bulk storage. So yeah, all of that stuff will get sent here so we can sort it manually. So that's all good, all great, except for one little thing. This whole thing is very ugly, and I promised you something very pretty at the beginning of this episode. So we're gonna start things off with this elevator here. We built it in the previous episode, and I'm not sure if I made it clear or not, but it was meant to be temporary from the beginning. So yeah, we're gonna make it a lot prettier. So first we're gonna need to make this exit room a bit better, and to do so we're gonna have to move it down by a few blocks. So let's just head down now, and it's gonna be somewhere around here. So let's just make a bigger platform, and then we're gonna be able to dig out a bigger room around here, because yeah, we're gonna need some space. We're gonna need a lot of room for what we have planned. Luckily we have a big cave on that side, and it extends to that side as well. So that's one less thing to dig, but sadly these two sides are solid rock all the way through, I think. So we're gonna need to dig them, but we have the tools that we built in the last episode, we can use our big drilling machine. So let's just place it and send it on its way. And just like that, we have a big room. Might not be big enough, but that's a problem for future aubni, because we're not actually going to be working on this room in this episode. We're really going to be concentrating on the elevator and the elevator shaft. Yeah, so for that, first of all, we need to make a bigger shaft because it's going to be housing a few more elevators. And for that, we're going to be using the same trick that we did in the previous episode. So with the pulley, with the rope, and the drills, and the barrels, and all of that. Alright, that hole should be big enough to satisfy all of our elevator needs. We just need to make the walls look a bit better, and for that we're going to be using limestone. So that's a new block that we're getting from Create, and for the texture we're going to be using layered limestone. So that's what it looks like. And fun thing is, it has a connected texture, but even more fun thing is, it does not connect vertically, only horizontally. So that's perfect to make huge bricks like so. Only problem is, since they have a connected texture, we can't make bricks all that easily with that block, because they're gonna connect together right here. But do not worry about that, we have the perfect solution for that, using this block here. So that's a pillar, so they are also connected texture. So yeah, they connect vertically, but they can also connect horizontally and on top like so. And they are directional blocks, so we can place them like that, and that's the face we're going to be using to make the rest of our bricks. So if we place one here like so, just like that, we have more bricks that they don't connect horizontally like that with each other. If we place another one here though, we see a little issue. They are connecting right here, but there's an easy solution. If we extend this one here, they're not connecting together anymore, because apparently if they don't have the same length, these pillars will not connect together. So yeah, I did not expect that, but that's very, very convenient for what we need. And just like that, we can make walls with a very large brick texture, which is great. I really like the way it looks, but we might need to add a bit of variation in terms of color, and for that we have another solution. We're gonna use andesite as well, so we can use andesite to make these same blocks. So we got the layered andesite and andesite pillars. So if we replace, let's say, this one and this one, is it gonna work? It's not gonna work. Give me a second. Like so, and like so, and maybe this one as well. Is it? It's not long, but we can place those here, and nope. It requires a bit of getting used to, but yeah, it allows us to make some very, very cool looking walls, I think. So now what we need to do is cover these entire walls in bricks, but before we do that, there's another little something that we really need to take care of. Enough with the stupid iron picks, we got plenty of diamonds. And that's the finished product. I did change it a bit from what I presented earlier. There's these bits with like vertical bricks, and I added some deep slate trims. Did I say deep slate? Deep slate trims. Because we get the same textures that we have for deep slate as well. And yeah, that's the whole elevator shaft. I did not build it all the way down to the bottom, well, except for this bit here. It extends to the bottom, but the rest does not. I'm gonna see what I do with that, because it took so long to build, and I don't want to redo the entire thing down there. So I might keep it like more of a natural look in the walls, and like, yeah, keep that bit here, maybe that bit as well underneath there on that side, and we'll figure something out. I also changed this room here. It's not the final form, trust me. It's very bland, but it's the first version. It's the first layer. It's gonna be better eventually, but I can do it right away because I don't know how big that room is gonna be, because it's gonna be my storage. And yeah, I need to plan all of that first, and that's not what we want to do in today's episode, so we're gonna put it on our to-do list, which is getting quite longer now that I think of it. But anyway, let's start working. So I promised this elevator shaft would contain more elevators than just this one. So what we're gonna put in here is some volts on elevator, well, in elevators with volts in them. Instead of just like transporting people, it's gonna transport items. So yeah, let's just build them. These two elevators are going to be moving items, as I said earlier, and this one here is going to take items from the surface. So let's look at it here, from the surface or from the bottom of the mine, and it's going to bring them to this floor here. So it's going to get emptied into this portable storage interface, and it's going to bring the items into the storage system. We're gonna connect it here and not down there because we might need to filter out some ores, so it's gonna be better like that. And this elevator here is only gonna be connected to the surface, and it's gonna be used to bring items from the storage into whatever we have on top. You might guess already what it is. If you guessed what is gonna be happening on top here already, please write it down in the comments. I want to know what you're expecting me to build up here. But yeah, so yeah, it's gonna bring items up there. That's all it's gonna be used for, so I kind of needed 2 volts for that, because it would be kind of complex to do all of that with only 1 volt. So all we need to do now is work a bit more on this elevator here, because it's ugly and it's kind of the first thing we said we wanted to make better, so let's get to it. For that elevator, we're gonna need some new materials that we haven't used yet, and to get those we need to heat a blaze burner here underneath a basin, and throw some iron blocks into said basin with a hydraulic press on top, and it's gonna create, oh, there it is, some blocks of industrial iron. Where are they? Anyway, we don't need to see them all, we just need 1. Blocks of industrial iron, so that's how they look. They look very, very good, I like them. And we can break them down into industrial iron ingots, like so, which we can use as a crafting material to get all sorts of pretty blocks. So first, let's disassemble the elevator and tear everything down, except for this redstone contact. So let's start things off with a line of industrial iron blocks, as well as 2 blocks in the corners back there. Then we're gonna use these iron supports, like so. We don't need one here. And we're gonna put a frame around the whole thing. Didn't want to put one there, but there's gonna be one there, so I'm just gonna leave it for now. Actually, we're gonna make some pillars in the corner, 2 blocks tall, like so. And now we need to add some bits of spruce to make a floor, like so, maybe something like that. And yeah, that's perfect. Let's put those back there. And then we're gonna put some railings on the side, like that. So with these supports, instead of full blocks, we're still gonna get to see kind of through that bit of the floor of the elevator. So I think it gives a nice look to the whole thing. For these corner pillars here, we're gonna put a full block on top, and we're gonna add some more of those railings on the sides, as well as some trapdoors here and there to give them, you know, a thicker and sturdier feel. And finally, we glue everything together, and if my calculations are correct, we just need to activate the elevator, and now everything should be fine. Should all move together. That is perfect. So that is a good enough spot to finish this episode. It's been long enough. So thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic day. Bye bye. Alright, class is over. Let's get building and explore what the world's gonna be like, starting with episode 4. Hello and welcome back. Today we are playing some more Minecraft with Create, and today we got some big things planned. We are once again gonna leave this hole that we dug for ourselves because we got some big plans outside. But first we need to find a way out because we no longer have access to that exit that we had in the earlier episodes. But I think I saw some daylight over there. Yep, so scaffolding should be enough. Let's try and see if it works. Yeah, good. So for this world, I want to split my builds into differently themed areas spread around this central place here where we have the mine and the storage and everything. So far in my planning, I'm calling those sectors, but in my brain place, the word sector seems to be referring to areas that are still somehow connected together, like different parts of a whole. But I still like the word sector, so I'll keep using it in this episode. However, if anyone has any suggestions for a synonym that would make a bit more sense, that would be great. Anyway, I'm currently headed towards Sector 1, which will be located in the middle of these icy mountains. Sector 1 will be where we put all of our industrial stuff, like all of the machines and factories, all of that. Sector 2 will be over here, and that's where we will be dealing with villagers as well as crops and food. Sector 3 will be inside this large forest, and that's where we're going to be growing and harvesting our plants and trees. And finally, Sector 4 will be over here, and this is where we will deal with all of our weird supernatural stuff. Like everything concerning the nether or the end, but also brewing, enchanting, and anything else that's a bit unusual. So let's start things off here in Sector 1, since this is where we will be making everything concerning trains, and well, trains are gonna be an intricate part of this whole place. But before we do that, we are gonna need to chop down all of those beautiful cherry trees, because even though they are very, very pretty, they won't really fit in well with the industrial aesthetic that we're going for in this area. So of course we could just grab our axe and chop them down, but it's super annoying because there's always a bunch of hidden logs and they're super tall and you need to punch all the leaves and it's super complicated and I don't have time to deal with that. But don't worry about that, of course Create's gonna fix everything. All you need is a mechanical saw and a hand crank that you place here, and just like that, it's all gone. It's so fun, it's so good, I love it. So let's tear down that entire forest. Now that we've made this place ugly, let's make it pretty again and build our first factory. And that's a first build done in our industrial area. As you can see, I used a lot of azurine, and I'm gonna keep using a lot of that block because first of all, it's very pretty. But yeah, I want all the other builds in this area to kind of blend in with the cold, frozen looks of all the icy mountains all around. So yeah, Azurite I think is the best fit for that. And I also use copper for the windows to add a bit of color, and it might seem a bit out of place right now, but it's all gonna make sense in the future because there's gonna be a bunch of copper pipes all over the place linking different areas. We're just not ready to put them in yet because I'm not dealing with fluids yet, so yeah, in the future it's all gonna make sense, I promise. And we also added these little archways with like bricks inside of them. I saw that on a lot of old industrial buildings, like there was like a big doorway here, but they bricked it off to close it. They changed their mind eventually. I don't know why they did that, but they did, and I think it looks cool, so I did that as well. We did add a little door here to get inside, and there's nothing inside yet, so let's start building some machines. But to power those machines, we're gonna need, well, some power source, and I'm not gonna use water wheels this time. We're gonna use a windmill. I promise we're gonna use steam eventually, we're just not there just yet. Now, for our first actual machine here, we are gonna make something to produce those train tracks we talked about earlier. To make those, we first need stone slabs. For that, we are gonna start with a cobblestone generator, which we can automate with a drill. We can then smelt that cobblestone into stone and then run it into a mechanical saw to make slabs. We're also gonna need iron nuggets, so let's build an iron generator. We are again gonna start things off with a cobblestone generator, but instead we're gonna crush the cobblestone into gravel. Then we're gonna wash the gravel, producing flint and the iron nuggets that we need, so we can send those into the other part of the machine and apply them to the stone slabs. We then need to squeeze the finished product with a press, and ta-da, train tracks. That little machine is working splendidly. Look at that, that's how many train tracks we've gathered so far. It is doing great. I did change some stuff, especially around this little barrel that's kind of hidden in the middle of all that stuff here. You didn't see that in that little montage because I ran into a little bit of a problem. The machine's producing a lot more slabs than it is producing iron. So there's a big risk of cobblestone backing up into that barrel here, but I used a little trick. This little thing here, it's called a threshold switch, and it's kind of like a super comparator. It will detect if there is a certain amount of items, and when it does, it's gonna send a redstone signal, so that's just what happened. So it unlocks this funnel here, and it's sending the items that way instead, so the excess cobblestone gets sent that way, and it will shut down when there's no more, when there's not too much cobblestone anymore, basically, and then it's sending it that way and that way. I really wanted to see that. It's just fun to look at it. Actually, let's just pretend I'm cobblestone and you'll see what happens. Whee! Whee! And then we get sent, as cobblestone, we get sent into these crushing wheels and get turned into iron. So yeah, all the excess cobble that we're producing for the slabs gets turned into iron instead, so it's kind of rebalancing everything in a way, so that's great. So let's grab some of those train tracks because we're gonna need them outside, because we're gonna start working on the train network. We won't be doing too much on that, but we're gonna do the train station that we're gonna have for this area. So it's gonna be over here because I want this place to be the entrance of this sector, just because, just look at that view. We're gonna have a view of all the factories and all the buildings we make here. It's gonna be great. So that's like the obvious entryway for this area. So I want to make the train station here. The problem is we're gonna need to have a very long line where we can extend a track, and I think that won't be long enough. But like if we move over there, yeah, I think we're gonna have enough room if we place it like here. So yeah, we just need to landscape this area a little bit, and that should be good enough. We have a long enough straight line for our station. So if we end the straight line here, maybe we can curve it and send it downward. So this part here is we're gonna dig this to fit the needs of the curves of the rail. But let's first take care of that straight line. So if we go over there, how far away can we go? We go here. Again, we're gonna have a curved rail going on that side here, so that seems like it's good enough. So I want to have 3 different wagons. So the first one's the locomotive. I think that the bogies need to be spaced 3 blocks apart in order to look good, and then maybe 5 blocks apart for the second one. So that's gonna be like the carrier, the passenger cart, not cart, wagon. I said it earlier. And here, yeah, and that's gonna be like the merchandise one. So it fits in. That's great. That's perfect. We have enough room for that. We can even maybe remove 1 or 2 rails on each side, but that should be fine. So let's go and take a look over that way where we can reach. We're gonna need to add a bit more dirt around here, but if we place it here, like so, is that a nice curve? Gonna need to dig it out. There we go, we've gone full archaeology mode and dug out the rail. My shovel's almost broken, and we can remove those bits. We don't need a straight line here. The curve, it looks good. Let's just see what it would be like if we didn't smooth it out, because that's an option that we have. Like, if I just place it like that, we see where the rails are going to be placed. It's gonna make as much straight lines as possible, and like it's gonna just have the smallest curve possible. But if I press Control, it's gonna smooth it out and use the entire length for the curve. So that seems good. What if we wait a second. So the bogey's gonna be here, so we need like a straight line, maybe up to, we could remove 2. If we do that instead, we could put the end here, and yeah, I like that better. Smooth curves are the best when it comes to train tracks, I think. So, cool. I just need to find another shovel to finish that landscaping and do the same thing over on that side. And we now have a complete loop. So the train's gonna arrive from this side here, it's gonna follow that track over there, go around this little valley. There's gonna be a bridge here. The rest of the tracks, I think I'm just gonna raise the ground, but here there's gonna be a bridge. Then it goes up here. It stops here because it's gonna be the station. That's where we exit and unload the train and all of that. And when it's ready to leave, it's gonna go that way, and it's gonna connect with the exit. Well, the entrance, the point that connects with the outside world. You get what I mean. There's still a few little bits that I'm not too sure I like that little bend here in the track. That's weird. I'm gonna need to rework it a bit, but we'll figure something out eventually. Don't worry about that. We're also gonna have a little bridge here, because it's a straight line, so it works well for a bridge. But this bit over there is all gonna get filled in with dirt, so from this pillar to that one, and all underneath these rails here, because it wouldn't work for bridges, basically. It would look weird, and yeah, it's gonna be better like so. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this big valley here. I was thinking of like making a lake in here, but might not work. There's gonna be like over at the end at that side there. It's gonna be something, another rail that's gonna branch off and head into that cliff there. We'll see about that later, but yeah, if you have any ideas for stuff I could build in here, that would be great. Very, very appreciated. But for today, we're gonna finish things off by connecting this track here to the main, or the starter area that where we lived earlier, where we spent all of our time. And we just need to dig a tunnel here, and eventually we're gonna be able to connect our rail with the mine and storage area. So yeah, just need to travel all the way back there because I don't have my drilling machine, and I'm not gonna dig that by hand, of course. And there seems to be a lot of powdered snow. That's fun. Okay, I really like how that place looks, and look at that just over there. That's where we started. That's the little farm where I got blown up by a creeper, if you remember seeing it from episode 2. So yeah, it's really not that far away. It's gonna be quite easy to connect everything together, if I don't die first. And just like that, Sector 1 is now officially connected to the central storage, and I also worked a bit more around here. I did talk about making a station, and I hadn't done anything yet, so yeah, we have a floor now at least. I wanted to record it at first, but then I thought that it would be a better idea to forget to hit record and build the entire thing. So we'll see if that pays out in the end. But yeah, that's the almost finished result. It's not completely done yet. It doesn't have like an official shape or anything. I just worked around the landscape that we had already, because I'm not sure exactly what's gonna go where. There's gonna be some other buildings and all of that. So yeah, I just made that to have an idea of what it's gonna look like, and I'm very happy with that. But now that we have built all that infrastructure, it would be silly to end the video without even building a train, right? Wouldn't it be silly? Yes, it would be very silly. So bye bye, thank you for watching, see you in the next episode. Quick warning for this next episode, back when I recorded it, my mic settings somehow got messed up and there's a bit where the audio is bad. I tried to fix it as best as I could, but I still wanted to warn you, and it really is just for a part of the episode, not the entire thing. That's it, it's been 5 episodes and I'm still eating sweet berries. We need better food. We deserve better food than that. So let's go ahead and open Sector 2. Actually, I'm still gonna need those. Yeah, they're a bit dirty, but that's okay. Anyway, to open Sector 2, we're finally gonna need a train, so let's build one. Everything seems to have been glued together, so the train should assemble correctly. Yes! Yay, we got a working train, that's perfect. Let's just jump on board. So the best thing about trains is, of course, they look super cool. Second best thing, oh, you don't see it from here, the hat. I mean, free hat, that's perfect. But there's one kind of annoying thing. They are notoriously very bad when you take them off-road. Like, they're just, seriously, they're just terrible. So we're gonna need to build a track up to Sector 2. So as we mentioned in the last episode, Sector 2 is where we're gonna deal with villagers as well as food. We won't start working on the villagers just yet though, so I trapped them in their houses and we'll release them when the time comes. And here we are, Sector 2. You might notice a slight little issue with the station over here. It's kind of floating in mid-air, so let's take care of that. That's a lot better, although there's still some bits of rail that are just floating in midair like that, but don't worry about that, we'll take care of that later, because now we have officially access to this sector, and that's a very good thing, because I am starving, and like any responsible adult, we are gonna start things off with some chocolate. And for that, we're gonna need three things, so cocoa beans, sugar, and milk. So we're gonna start with milk, because it's gonna be the most complicated one. Now, obviously, that's gonna start with some cows. But we like our cows here, so of course, we're not just gonna stick them in a hole and milk them dry. Instead, we're gonna put them in a big field, and whenever they want to, they will come get milked by the soft, caring brass ends of these deployers. We will then send the milk into a big tank to store it for future use. For our sugar, we could just craft some sugarcane into sugar, but we'll get more if we crush it instead. So let's just put all of our sugarcane into this chest, and then we can send them one by one into a millstone. For cocoa beans, well, we don't have anything to do, so let's just put them in the same chest, filter them with some funnels, and send them one by one into a basin with all the other ingredients. We can then heat it with a blaze burner, mix it up a bit, and ta-da, chocolate! Now, the only annoying thing about chocolate is that you cannot just chug buckets full of chocolate at a time to fill your belly. It's not how it works, you have to put it on something, so yeah, we're gonna have to deal with that. But just before we do that, I want to address a slight little issue. I'm pretty sure people will be in the comments complaining that this milking machine is absolutely inefficient, and you know what? Those people are completely right. That machine is bad. It could be improved in so many ways. Problem is, see that tank here? It's full, and it got filled up in about 5 minutes. And while we were producing that chocolate, so that much chocolate that we've produced, it didn't even come close. I have to check out my how I phrased that. It didn't even come close to stop being full. That's how much milk got produced by that machine in very little time. So yeah, absolutely inefficient, not a problem, no reason to improve it in any way. So anyway, we're gonna have to put our chocolate on something, as I said earlier, and we have to, well, we could make chocolate bars, but I don't want to deal with that. We're gonna put chocolate on sweet berries. And I know I talked about not eating sweet berries anymore, and now we're gonna eat sweet berries. It's different. It's gonna be covered in chocolate, so it's completely different. So that's where we're gonna do that. So there's gonna be this barrel here. That's gonna be where we put our sweet berries, and this one here is where we're gonna get our chocolate-covered berries. So what we need is a spout, a pump, and some pipes. So if I place the spout here, yeah, perfect, it goes in the right place, and now we're gonna connect that to the tank, and we need to pump it into that pipe. So I think, yeah, that's gonna work. So if we put that here, remove that pipe, we're gonna put the pump here and connect it to the pipe, and now see, look at that, that spout is getting filled. So if we put some sweet berries here, they're getting covered in chocolate. That is perfect. We now have the most perfect food in that entire mod. I'm super happy with that. That's great. Oh, that's so good. Covering sweet berries in chocolate was the best idea. That machine deserves the prettiest build around it. So of course I had to include a little window so I could smush my face against it and look at my berries getting covered in chocolate, obviously. And as a bonus, if I just get, you know, mesmerized by that view and I back off a little, I get smashed in the head by a windmill. Isn't that great? I think that's a great deal. So yeah, that's the whole build. I chose for the block palette, I chose some ochrum first for the walls. So that's one of the other new stone variants that we get with Create, and I chose that one because of the kind of yellow golden coloration. I think would blend in well, kind of like what I did in the industrial area over there, with the blue for the ice. This one's gonna be kind of to match with the fields of wheat that we're gonna have in here eventually. But to break off the coloration a bit, I also added, that's actually granite. It's the same new textures that we also get with Create, but for granite, and I think it looks really well. It looks really good. Blends in well with ochrum. It kind of looks like it's been like discolored in the sun or something. I might rework a bit how they are placed, but other than that, yeah, I'm super happy with that palette. Back here we have a good view of the chocolate tank, because, I don't know, it's fun to look at how much chocolate we have. Little access door to see inside if there's a problem or something. And over here we got all of our ingredients, so that's the milk tank, and that's where we put the other ingredients. And in front of the place, over here, that's our cows. They're super happy. You're happy, aren't you? Yes, you are. That is wonderful. Super happy with that whole project. I now have a lot of yummy food, and it's been a lot shorter than I expected, so we still have a bit of time, but I don't really have anything else to do, so I think we're just gonna end it here. Gonna start a little time lapse of me decorating the area, and yeah, that's gonna be it for today's episode. So thank you so much for watching and have a fantastic day. Bye bye. Welcome back to Create. In the last episode we opened Sector 2 and we built a cute little factory where we get to make the yummiest foods in the mod. But we still haven't completely automated it, so let's fix that by opening Sector 3, where we will deal with everything concerning plants and trees. So for our food we're gonna need to farm 3 things here: sugarcane, cocoa beans, and sweet berries. And honestly, all 3 of those things are gonna be super easy to farm because we have that little thing here called a mechanical harvester, and as the name sort of implies, that thing is very useful when you need to harvest stuff. So basically it breaks crops and plants and stuff like that, but it also replants them if it can. So it's super useful for that when it comes to like automating all of that stuff, which means our farms are gonna be quite simple. So instead of focusing on complex farms, we're gonna focus on making farms that look very cool. And well, before we can build those, we need to clear out a bit of that forest here. So that should be good enough, and I already planned out what I'm gonna put where, and here we're gonna have the sweet berry farm, so that's the one we're gonna start with. First of all, we're gonna place some barrels, which are gonna be used for both their inventory as well as kind of the frame of the machine. And we're gonna put harvesters next to them. We glue everything together, and to move them around, so they're gonna move that way, we're gonna put a gantry above them. So let's just place a torch and place a gantry here, flip it the right way, perfect. And now we can extend it a bit, just to there, should be good enough, we didn't need that one. And we put the gantry carriage underneath, and now if we link it to that power output over there, just like that, it should start moving. And well, if there were some sweet berries here, they would get harvested. There's just a slight little problem that you'll notice when it reaches the end. Like so, it stops, and if we want to bring it back, it's gonna be backwards, which will not really work. So what we are actually gonna do, we're gonna change this a little bit. We're actually gonna move the gantry up by 2 blocks, just like that, so that we can fit a mechanical bearing here. Let's just rotate it so that it's facing downwards. We're gonna put a gearbox here, also rotate it so that it connects with the bearing. And if we put a hand crank here, ta-da, we can flip it around, and now it's ready to go back to the beginning. So if we flick that lever here, it's gonna switch around that gear shift, and I forgot to glue everything together. No, my glue is here. I am a professional, do not worry. There we go, that's perfect. So now it's coming back, so it's gonna re-harvest everything. And when it reaches the end, we just spin it around, flick the lever again, and it's gonna go back and forth, basically. There's a little thing though, I'm not gonna do all of that manually, of course. That would be kind of annoying and, you know, defeat the purpose of everything, but don't worry about a thing. It's actually super easy to automate. I didn't have to add too much stuff. Just added these redstone contacts on each corner, these 2 little cogwheels here, and a bunch of wireless redstone thingies, redstone links, that's what they're called. So yeah, that's basically wireless redstone, which is kind of fun. You just have to code them, and they will transmit redstone signal, and it just makes redstone a lot less heavy, which is always great. So let's look at it in action. If I press this button, it starts, and fun thing is, if I keep pressing the button, it doesn't do anything, so it's kind of spam proofed. So yeah, it goes forward and it's harvesting all the sweet berries. And when it reaches the end, it's gonna power this gantry here. We're gonna see it happening. So it's gonna power the redstone contact, which powers the gantry. And when a gantry is powered, the carriage will stop moving and instead start spinning this little shaft that it's got on its side here. So that's what we use to just spin it around, and that's why we need redstone contacts on both sides. So this one detects like, okay, we need to start spinning. And this one says, let's stop the spinning and let's reset the input So if we press the button, it comes back. And for the redstone bits, it's hidden underneath here, and that's it. That's all there is to it. It's, yeah, the wireless redstone thingies allow it to be so compact, but there's a bunch of new redstone stuff that we get from Create, so like these things just add delay. It's kind of a super repeater. These bits, well, I'm gonna go and explain them outside. So that thing is called a powered latch, and it has two different inputs. So there's one from the back, which powers it, and another one from either side, which will unpower it. So if you power it, no matter how many times you send power into that input, it won't change anything until it gets reset by that input from the side. So that's what I've used to control the input or the start button, so that no matter how many times I press it, it won't mess anything up until it gets reset. It's just that little functionality, which we get in a single block, which is great because it would be a lot bigger using regular vanilla redstone. And with that, we have one farm finished, but we still have two to go, so we're gonna work on the second one now. That's gonna be the sugarcane farm. The basic principle is gonna be very similar to what we have here, so I'm gonna build the first part of it, which is just that. So it's kind of similar to what we have here. Big difference is that we can have it just on the ground level, just on the floor, because it apparently will not replace sugarcane. It replants everything else, not sugarcane, for some reason, but that's not a big deal. We just need to put it a bit higher, but we also need to put two harvesters, because if we just break the bottom cane, the top one won't be collected, which is not ideal. But like that, we can harvest everything that we need, so that's perfect. And if we flick this lever, it's moving towards us, harvesting all the sugarcane on the way. And when it reaches the end, it's gonna stop, so we can flick the lever and send it back. But I don't really like how that looks, because it's kind of going back inside potentially some of the sugarcane, and it's not harvesting anything. So what I want to have, it's gonna be very similar to that, but I want it so that at the front here it gets raised and then it moves back, and when it reaches the end, it's gonna get lowered back into place, ready to start another harvest. And that is the finished product. So let's look at it in action. If I press the button, it's gonna start going. Perfect, harvesting all the sugarcane. And to, I don't remember if I talked about it, but in order to raise that bit, I put a piston here. That's a mechanical piston. It's the Create equivalent of the pistons that we have in the regular game. So there we go. It gets raised, and then it starts going back. Also, it stops here to deliver the sugarcane. It's gonna be better eventually. Don't worry about that. We'll get a better system. And when it reaches the end, in the back here, there we go, it stops, gets lowered back into position, and now it's just waiting for us to press the button and harvest some more sugarcane. So it all works with these four little redstone contacts. And downstairs, if we look at the redstone, it's a bit more complex than what we had for the sweet berry farm, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not that bad. Again, using a lot of the cool new Create redstone components, it really helps keep things compact. And with that makes two farms done, so all we have left to do is make the cocoa bean farm, which is going to be over here. So that's where our cocoa beans are going to be placed for the farm, so there's going to be some on either side. And the way we're going to harvest them is going to involve a little something like that. So let me show you how it's going to work. So first, we retract the arms, pull them back in, then we spin it up, or well, move it up, so that it harvests everything. Then we can move it back down, and then we retract the arm back outside like so. I think it looks super cool like that. So now we just need to automate everything, which might be a bit complicated. And there it is, fully automated. So let's take a look at it in action, and hopefully nothing goes wrong because the trouble has happened, but good. Now it goes up. Harvest all the cocoa beans. That's good. Now it's connecting to the cocoa beans on the ground. Good. Good, good, good. Now it's going back down. Perfect. Gonna harvest some more cocoa beans. And now it goes back into place. That is perfect. We might need to work on the speed of the mechanism that makes it retract like that. But whatever. For the redstone, it's actually quite simple. Ooh, 28 cocoa beans, that's good. I mean, I can't even call it simple. I just use one of those. That's a sequence gear shift, and you just program all the movement that you want, and it just does that. The only little thing I had to include was that bit to control whether or not it's gonna spin the gantry carriage, or it's gonna move it up or down. That's the only little thing I had to take care of, but other than that, yeah, super happy with that result. So now we're gonna make all of these farms look good, because they look cool, but they don't look good. And now the farms have been made pretty, or well, at least some of the farms. So let's start with the least controversial one. Let's start with the sugarcane farm. All we needed was a frame to hold the gantry so it doesn't float in midair, and I think that works great. I really like how it looks. It's kind of symmetrical but anti-symmetrical at the same time in some way. Anyway, that's something I really like, and I'm very happy with how that one turned out. This one though, I went for more of a greenhouse kind of feel, and that one, I like that part. I used, I think they're called oak panes for the windows, and I really like how they look. I think they really fit in well with the aesthetic that I'm going for, kind of Renaissance-y kind of window. I don't know if it works, but I see it like that, and it works well. It was a bit repetitive. I felt to have just flat windows of all the same blocks, so I broke it off a bit with these. I think they're iron window panes or something. Again, I forgot to check the name. Sorry about that. But yeah, I used those, and it was kind of the best choice, but I'm still not really convinced, so I'm gonna need your opinion. Should I try just to have like all the same like flat windows like that, or maybe do something else with those? I don't know. Please write your suggestions in the comments below. It's really gonna help me because I'm a bit stuck right now. For the frame itself, it's all oak, and I'm not convinced. I don't think it's that bad, but it's very bland. It's very all of the same colors, so yeah, we'll see if I figure something out for that. Maybe I'm just gonna add a trim of a different wood type, or we'll see. And the big thing, that's Viridium. And at first, when I started planning out this world, I decided to assign one of the block types that we get in Create, the new stone types, one for each sector. And Viridium was like the obvious choice because it's green, so for the sector where we get all the plants and the trees, it's the obvious choice. I don't think it fits. Am I crazy? Does it look weird to you? I think it looks a bit weird to me, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep it. I'm thinking maybe we could use, I think it's called Verdant Brick, yeah. That one, so that kind of color. I'm not sure either, but maybe we'll try and use something like that instead in a few minutes. But yeah, that's it for this one farm. And now, that one, I had no idea what kind of build to build around it. Again, Viridium, I'm gonna do the same thing with Viridium that I do over there. If I change it to something else, I'm gonna change it here as well. Yeah, I felt like I needed to put Viridium in the build. I think it works well with the dark oak though. But yeah, not too convinced. The shape of that build, I'm not too convinced, but like we're growing cocoa beans here. We're not growing like some mushroom or something, so it needs to be outside. But I didn't want to have that machine kind of hanging out in mid-air like that, so we kind of needed something to cover it. So that's why I got roofs just there, so it covers the machine but not the farm itself. I'm really not convinced, but I'm gonna go ahead and get some of that verdant brick just to check out if it's better or not. So we got the verdant bricks. Let's try and changing some of that Viridium for those. The brick here, 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 and full blocks here. Huh. I don't hate it. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like it better than that. I think we're just gonna switch everything. Yeah, that works. That works a lot better. Let's try and just see if we change these ones as well. If it's gonna look good also. Yep, we got something. Yep. I'm not even gonna ask your opinion on that. I'm just changing them. Yep. That's 1,000 times better, so that solves that problem. The only problem left, of course, is the weird shape of the build, but I actually thought of a very, very simple solution. We're just gonna ignore it. We'll deal with that later, maybe. We'll see. Because now we are gathering a bunch of cool new resources, but none of them are meant to be used here. They're all meant to be used back all the way there in Sector 2. And I'm not just gonna fill my pockets with all those items and run around the world to transport things everywhere, because we have a train. Well, that's a locomotive, but now we're gonna have a train because we're gonna build a little second wagon where we're gonna put a vault and carry all of our items around the world. Yeah, that little thing's gonna be perfect for our needs, and you might have noticed something. There's two different portable storage interfaces. So this one is gonna be to empty the vault, and this one's gonna be to fill it up with all the goodies that we're gonna get here or in, well, any of the other sectors. And since it's on top, we're gonna need to make a little structure going above the train to connect with the portable storage interface. And it's an idea that I got from Trolley while watching one of his videos, and I thought it looked really cool, so I thought, well, let's shamelessly steal someone else's idea. I mean, I'm not gonna copy it block for block, of course, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna be really a problem. But yeah, I thought it looked really cool, so yeah, might as well do something like that myself. I'm just not sure exactly how it's gonna be, so I started placing some blocks just to have a bit of an idea of where everything's gonna go. The portable storage interface just needs to be there, so it's not too far up high in the skies. The structure won't need to be like that tall. I also placed this pillar just to have an idea of what it would look like, and from here it doesn't look that bad, but as soon as you look at it with a slight angle, it takes all the place. We cannot see anything, it's just way too big. Can't even see the train behind it, so that cannot stay like that. And I also placed these casings to have a bit of an idea of what the diagonal would be like to climb up to that to the right height, and it reaches down just there. So the first way we could use to bring the items up would be with a belt, so just placing it on that diagonal, we would see the items being brought up into the train. I think that would look pretty cool. We wouldn't see it from up on the platform though, or well, we would see it from here, but like as soon as we're here, we wouldn't really see any of the items, which is not that big of a deal, to be honest, and it also means that we could make that structure a lot smaller. We wouldn't need these big pillars, so maybe we could just have two pillars and maybe some fence posts to help make things look a bit sturdier. And if we put the same thing on the other side, we could attach it there. It would look sturdy enough, I think. But this place is quite dangerous at night, so let's take a little nap before I can explain the second method to bring the items up. So it's going to be a bit counterintuitive, but if we make this little pillar here, this big pillar here, even bigger, it would feel a bit less heavy, I think. Like it would feel a bit less compact, is what I should say. And it would also give us some room in the middle to move a vault upwards. So we would keep the vault down when we want to fill it, put some goodies inside of it, then we would pull it up, and when it's up, we could empty it into the train. Thing is, that would require a bit more complexity to put on top here, and I don't want to deal with that now. We've dealt enough with that with these 3 farms. So we're gonna start with the belt, and if it really doesn't work, if there's a problem that I didn't notice earlier, then we're gonna try and figure out a way to do that. Well, good news everyone, it works. That little structure looks like it can hold itself and like it can hold that belt. And as a bonus, if we look at it from down here, it's perfect if we want to put a sign like "Welcome to Sector 3" or something like that, which we will do in the future, but not today because we've got enough stuff to do. And I also got carried away a bit. So the belt here, it goes all the way down into this hole, which connects to this lovely new little storage room where we get all the yields for all of the farms automatically, so everything gets sent into that storage room. So we got sweet berries here, cocoa beans here, and sugarcane here, so everything has its own barrel. And I also added a chest for sugarcane because you usually need more sugarcane than sweet berries. Usually. But there's nothing automated or anything here, I'm just transferring things manually because when the barrel is full, the excess is gonna get sent into the train. So if I want to keep more than just a barrel, I just put more stuff into the chest. And you might have noticed there's more barrels, they're empty. I was just planning ahead because there's gonna be more farms in here eventually, but not today. Of course, today we have only one thing left to do. Before we end this episode, we need to go back to Sector 2. Because it's great that we get to fill our train with some ingredients, but we actually need to use these ingredients right here to make some tasty food. So let's work on a little system to extract these ingredients and send them to the chocolate factory. Do you remember how I said that I wouldn't just fill my pockets with items and then run around the world to deliver them? And I'm not just gonna fill my pockets with all those items and run around the world. Well, I kinda had to give up on that dream. basically, I couldn't really figure out how I wanted to deliver the items around the sector, and I didn't want to really commit to anything because I got only one build here, and there's going to be more builds, of course. So yeah, I didn't really want to commit to one way and then realize that it didn't work with everything else. So for the moment, the items get taken from the train and get sent into this little warehouse. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at it. As you can see, I took the exact same block palette as I did for the chocolate factory for a few reasons. First, I really like that block palette. I think it works well, and the buildings are far enough apart from each other that I don't think it's a big issue. And most of all, I really was not inspired. So I think that's like the 3 key ingredients to a good build, I think. I'm still quite happy with it, and if we go and take a look inside, you'll see there's not much to see. Just this vault and all the items that we're getting so far. So if I want to just grab some sugar cane, I can just grab it and bring it to the farm. It's pretty underwhelming as a delivery system, but for the moment it works, and that is good enough for me. So it's a bit sad that we are gonna have to end the episode on that note, but you know, stuff like that happens. Sometimes you have a project and you realize it's not the right thing to do, and you just drop it in the garbage. Stuff happens, but we'll get something better later, I promise. Once we have this whole area figured out, we're gonna get something great. So, on that note, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, have a good day, bye bye. Hello and welcome back to Create. In the last episode we built some farms where we harvest the ingredients to make the tastiest food in the mod. And today we are getting one step closer to finally getting steam power. But for that, we're gonna need a lot of lava, so you know the drill. Let's ride into the sunset to go and open Sector 4. And here we are, the 4th and final sector. So this one's gonna be kind of the miscellaneous sector. That's where we're gonna harvest all the stuff that we don't get in any of the other ones. I don't know why I'm looking that way. They're that way, but they are way too far away, so we can see them from here. Anyway, yeah, all the miscellaneous stuff, and it's gonna be kind of all organized under the theme of weirdness. So all the, yeah, like supernatural stuff is gonna get harvested here. And for that, I thought that a dark oak forest would be the best biome that we could pick. I mean, I could have chosen a mushroom island, but I couldn't find one that was close enough. And you know, they are kind of weird, these dark oak forests. They have a little problem, however, in that they are quite compact, and this one in particular is pretty small, so like I couldn't really build much stuff inside the forest without just tearing it down, and then we wouldn't have a forest anymore. So in this case, what we're gonna do, we're gonna build above and under the forest. But as we said earlier, our specific goal for today is to get lots of lava and distribute it to all the other sectors. Now we could do something sensible and logical, you know, like making a big pit and filling it with lava, or making a dripstone farm. But instead, we're gonna pump it directly from the nether, put it in a little tank, and send that little tank on a train trip around the world. That might be stupid, but it's gonna be so cool. So that's the layout of our tracks in Sector 4. We're gonna use this fork here and run a 3rd track out of it, this one going underground. It will lead into this small room where we will find a bunch of tanks that will eventually get filled with lava. Then there is this other tunnel which will lead up out of this cliff and run into a nether portal floating in the air above the forest. So now what we need to do is make that portal look a bit better, because at the moment it looks a bit bland. And that's the general idea that I have for this portal. I kind of want to make like the effect of something spinning around it, like it's a gigantic vortex out of like space and time. I don't know. But that's when I realized I'm a dum-dum. And you might realize why I'm saying I'm a dum-dum, but trust me, there's another layer to that. And even if you see that second layer, there's actually a third one. So the big reason why I'm a big dum-dum is that I'm trying to place blocks in a way that would look like it's spinning, but I'm playing Create Mod, the mod that is based around stuff that spins. Why am I trying to create a spinning effect when I can literally make it spin? The other layer of why I'm a big dum-dum, you might have already figured that one out. I built, like, the only stuff that I built so far is out of obsidian. So that's gonna take a while to break down. And the third reason why I'm a big dum-dum is that I also use crying obsidian. You can see it. It's right there on the screen. I used crying obsidian, so that means I had to go to the nether to barter with some piglins to get crying obsidian to place it, and now I just have to break it down with an unenchanted pick because I still don't have enchanted gear. So I gotta break down a lot of stuff. So that's how it's gonna start. We have a glass circle and we're gonna add some like spirally arm bits sticking out of the portal. But before we can do any of that, we need to figure out how to make that thing spin. And I was like really wondering how I could manage to like hide a shaft or something, or just hide a power source. And then I realized there's one thing that actually spins on its own. And that thing is a windmill. So this whole thing is actually a windmill because there's some wool on it, so it doesn't need a power source because it is its own power source. It's actually producing power right now. We're not going to use it, but you know, it's there. So with all of that figured out, we can start decorating it. And we're gonna start things off by making some spiral arms to use kind of as guides, because I'm not really good at that kind of build, so I can just like wing it. So using these guides will really help me. Then we're gonna bring in more depth by adding a second layer also with spirally arms. And fun thing is, since it's also on a windmill, so it's a different windmill, we can put a different amount of wool blocks. And both windmills are gonna go at a different speed, which I think gives a very cool effect. I'm very happy with it. So now what we need to do is make it pretty, and in terms of block palette, I want to keep it simple first, or at least for the first draft, just to see how it looks. I'm gonna keep it with just purple and black, so both for concrete and stained glass. And we're also gonna use tinted glass because it is kind of purple as well. It's not the same, but it has this purple tint, so I think it's gonna work well with that. And I did mention it, but the shapes of the arms, it's not gonna be like they're not gonna be kept like exactly how they are. We're gonna change them a bit because it would be way too symmetrical otherwise. And I'm gonna keep the colored glass, so the tinted and the purple, mostly inside the arm, just to kind of have an effect like that's it. Since it's going to be spinning that way, it's kind of leaving a trail behind, something like that, if it makes any sense. So let's place a few more and then we can have a look at what it looks like. Yeah, maybe need a bit more color there, but other than that, I'm happy with the result. Yep, that is great, I like it. So I'm gonna work on a few more arms and I'm gonna bring you back when there's more stuff to show, which might be when the entire thing is done, we'll see. Yep, the whole thing is done, and now that it's all done, I'm kind of not sure anymore. I don't know, something feels off. I'm not sure what it is. So if you have any suggestions on how to make this thing better, please write them down in the comments. It's really gonna help me. Because, yeah, I think the idea is good. Like, the whole thing, the whole idea, it works. But something does not work with that. Anyway, yeah. We have a portal, so let's use it and go to the nether, because we got some stuff we need to do there before we can come back and do some more stuff here. Oh my, there are a lot of zombie piglins here, but the plan for this area, oh no, bad ghast. The plan is to hopefully not die. I didn't think it would be that close. Anyway, yeah, the plan for this area. Let's just run and talk while running. That cannot go wrong. But yeah, we want to make a big train station here where we will be able to pump some lava. So that could be a good hole where to put the pump. So yeah, we're just gonna pump lava, put it on a train, and have the train loop back around. Did I say train? Have the train loop back around and go back through the portal. And I didn't realize that there would be like a hole so close by, so yeah, we'll figure something out, how to place the rails. We'll see, maybe something like going back around there, something like that. We'll see, but now I just have to go back because it's not safe and we actually need some rails. And that's what the layout of the place is gonna look like. I'm super glad I didn't have to go too far. So basically the train's gonna come out of the nether portal there, go on the track, loop around here and stop here, and that's where we're gonna have the station where we're gonna pump the lava, probably from that hole or maybe from that one, we'll see. And then we're gonna put everything on the train, and then the train's gonna go back and yeah, go back through the portal. You might notice I'm floating in mid-air right now because I'm using free cam, because this place is dangerous. I'm actually hidden right here, and just look at that. See that guy? He can smell my fear. He's hunting me, I know it. Look at that. Oh, actually, he might actually see me from there. Yeah, this place is dangerous, so we gotta make this whole place safer. And with the limitless power of insomnia, I have built the entire thing. I kept it very simple in terms of block palettes. So it's just diorite on the floor. That's a new texture that we're getting from Create. I think it's called Cut Diorite, and I really like it. I think it looks very pretty. Black stone and brass, and with these little windows we can look outside and see the endless devastation caused by stupid ghasts, as well as, you know, the local fauna and flora. There's no flora, there's some mushrooms here. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, quite simple. If we go a bit further, we can see there's this big room here. And I picked that palette because I really wanted something that would clash with the outside of the nether. But for the floor, at least inside, it's a bit repetitive. So I'm gonna work on that later. I'm not inspired to do anything here other than what's like strictly necessary. Everything is spawn proof though, so I made sure that no ghast could spawn inside. Still a bit open down there, but the only possible danger is if a ghast like floats up from that hole and inside, and that's not gonna happen. So that thing here is why we build this entire place. That's where we're gonna collect lava, as we mentioned earlier. How it's gonna work, basically, we have this little thingy here that's a hose pulley, which we can power with a gearbox. So it's gonna start going downwards, and it's very slow. Anyway, yeah, it's all getting powered by this big fan here. So I wanted to kind of give the effect that like this chamber is like getting heat from the lava, and it's like activating that little rotor thingy here. Anyway, so how it works with Create is when you are draining fluids from a tank or from like any like body of that fluid that contains more than 10,000 sources, I think it will count as something infinite, as an infinite source. So this lake down here is big enough, I assume, to count as infinite lava. So yeah, that's why it's good to drain lava from the nether. And just like that, we can remove these things and use the power of that little fan in the ceiling instead to start the pump. And there it is, and it is slowly but surely, but mostly slowly, filling up this tank. Might need to make it faster because yeah, we're gonna need something better, but we have time. We're gonna fill up the entire thing, and well, while we're waiting for that, we can build a train, because we're gonna need a train to come here and grab the lava and distribute it to all the other sectors. So let's work on that while it's pumping. And we have a train, and it has a tank, and the tank is filled with lava, as well as this one, because I changed things a bit down there just to make things go faster. We're producing a lot of stress units with that fan, and we're not using a lot of stress units with those pumps, so I thought, you know, we deserve it. We deserve some quality and speed in our pumps. And yeah, we managed to fill everything up, so now that we have our train, we are officially ready to deliver lava everywhere around the world. Only problem is, we don't really have anywhere where we could actually leave the lava. So we're gonna need to make some adjustments to our sectors. We're gonna clear out some paths and build some tunnels for the train so that we can at least start storing some lava over there. And you know what? I know that it's a bit underwhelming leaving those tanks out here in the open, but you know, we have to keep some stuff for the next episode. So, see you in the next one, bye bye! Hello, and welcome back to my single player create world. In the last episode we got a lot of lava, and in today's episode we're gonna put that lava to good use because we're gonna build a lot of steam engines. So we're back here in sector 1 because that's the place that needs steam engines the most, I would say. Actually, it's the place that needs the most work, honestly. We haven't been here in a while, so we're gonna improve this place. But before we can do any of that, we are gonna have to make a little building. Ignore the scaffolding. We're gonna have to make a little building to house our lava, or to store our lava. You don't house lava, do you? That wouldn't really make a lot of sense. Anyway, yeah. Lava's right now dug, like halfway dug, inside of a cliff. Not ideal conditions for lava storage, I think. So yeah, let's give it a little house. And yeah, it's gonna be right there. This very subtly placed scaffolding is just here to take measurements. Anyway, let's remove that and start building. Perfect, or well, almost perfect. There's a slight little issue with that building, and I don't know if you've noticed it during the time lapse or if you're noticing it right now. It's gonna be a bit easier to see from here, maybe? Yeah, I kind of messed up the scale of the building, especially like for something that's put so close to the one that we already have here. Yeah, it's quite small, so I'm gonna have to make it bigger, but that's a problem for future aubni, because present aubni designed that building and built that building, and it's gonna stay here for today. Let's head inside to see what's inside of there. So it's gonna have two uses. So, well, first of all, here there's gonna be a vault. It's gonna be what's connected to the other sectors, like when the trains are gonna come and drop some stuff off. It's gonna be collected here. And the second part is, of course, the lava, so we moved the tank from the outside in here and connected it back to the spot where the train's gonna stop for its deliveries. So now what we need to do is make a bunch of steam engines to power this whole thing. And that's gonna be our steam engine setup, and I had to build the entire thing off camera because I haven't built one of those in a while, and there was a lot of stuff to figure out. But for one of those, what you need is a boiler, which is basically just a tank, a heat source, which in this case is a blaze burner. That's usually what people use, and in this case I just needed one, so that's great. And some water, so that's why we have this pump. It's pulling water from this infinite water source and it's sending it into the boiler, which is currently on idle, so it's not working at all because it's got no water. The pump's not working. So that's why we got this little hand crank. So if I start spinning it, you'll see it's grabbing water and it's sending it into the boiler. And if I stop spinning it, there we go, it's going by itself. It's now on passive because it's just using the passive heat of the blaze burner. But that's still enough to activate this engine, which powers the pump, so it's self-sustaining even in passive mode. But eventually we're gonna need it to generate a bit more power, so we can't stay in passive forever. But we have a little system here that's kind of the secondary systems. If I flick this lever, everything here is gonna start, so it's starting. This mechanical arm, which is quite slow right now, but I'm gonna grab a bucket of lava. It's gonna... Why are you doing that? Not what you should be doing. There we go. So now it fed the lava to the blaze burner. That's great. Putting the bucket back here, and it's getting filled with that spout. So this entire side of the machine is activating the mechanical arm, as well as this pump for the spout and this other pump that's bringing lava into the tank. So yeah, we don't need those things activated when we're starting the machine. So that's why they're on this secondary part that we can turn off if we want. But now we're generating a lot more energy than we actually need, so let's use that excess energy to send some lava everywhere else around this sector, which for the moment is just across the track, but you know, we need lava over there. So I added this engine here, which powers this pump over here, which I know is not actually being powered right now, because there's a clutch. I tend to put clutches everywhere just to always power the bare minimum. It's just something I do. But yeah, once the pump is actually running, it's gonna pull some lava from this tank and push it into this pipe, going across the gap here and towards the other building. So that's kind of the feel that I'm gonna go for this place. I'm gonna have pipes running around the place and connecting all the buildings together. I think it's gonna look very, very cool. Kind of like some big orange electric wires running overhead. But you might notice there are two problems with that plan. The first one is that this pipe is kind of ugly like that, so we're gonna need to add some bends here and there and just make it look a bit more dynamic, because right now it's pretty boring. And the other problem is that this pipe is quite long and the pump isn't strong enough to push lava across the entire place, so we're gonna need to put some more pumps here and there and to power them. So we're gonna have to find a way to run shafts and cogwheels and all of that along this pipe. And just like that, I think that works. It's all bendy and crooked, and yeah, I like it. It looks really cool, and we were able to power the entire length of that pipe. We had to make it look a bit more sturdy and supported, and I think that bit might be a bit too big. Though it might be, like, it looks big compared to that tiny stupid little building here, so when we redo that one and, you know, bring it to a proper scale, maybe it won't look too bad. But anyway, yeah, we got pumps pumping lava all the way into that other building, so we can actually start it. And it is sending the lava. We can see it. There's particles everywhere, and it's sending it inside of here into this tank here. What a timing! We arrived right when it started pouring in. So that means that in this room, or in this factory, we can put a new steam engine, a second one. That is great. We're going to be able to power all of our machines. Just a little problem though. We're going to need to remove that one machine here. Because, well, that, in case you didn't know, that's a train track machine. And we built it when we needed a lot of train tracks, but we don't really need a lot of train tracks anymore, and eventually we're going to do something better, but not in this factory, so let's just tear this whole thing down. It served us well, but its time has come, sadly. And just like that, it's gone. But we have a super cool new steam engine for this factory, so it works with the same basic principle as the other one. We have this hand crank to manually start the pump, and when it's going, perfect, it's running by itself. We can flick this lever, which starts the system to send lava to the blaze burners. But we have... wait, that's not going the right way. We'll figure that out later. I was talking about the lack of mechanical arms here. We don't have a mechanical arm to feed the lava to these blaze burners, so I'm gonna have to do it manually for now. And the reason why we don't have a mechanical arm is that we don't have any more precision mechanisms, and I don't want to do any of that stuff by myself. Instead, I'm gonna make a machine do that for me. So that's what this factory is gonna be about, precision mechanisms and all the other stuff that's kind of tedious to make by hand. So like electron tubes, that's a big one, very annoying to make. So yeah, let's start building some cool machines. And just like that, we have 3 very cool new machines. So we're gonna start with this one in the back. That's where we make electron tubes. It's pretty simple. We just put iron ingots in this chest, and they get sent one by one to be smashed into iron sheets. And then they get sent into this crafter, get combined with some rose quartz to make electron tubes. So the rose quartz, like the polished and non-polished versions, we're keeping a good stock of that stuff because it has other uses, and instead of just, you know, making another farm just to get that, I think it would be pointless. So yeah, we're just keeping some of it in the chest. So here it's just backing up because it can only be sent one at a time into the crafter. And here we're using a threshold switch, so either way it works. We're keeping some of it, and the non-polished version is getting crafted here. So that's where we put the quartz and the redstone dust, and yeah, it gets sent here. We craft rose quartz, send it here, and here it gets sended and turned into the polished version. And that last bit at the end here, that's where we make our sandpaper. So whenever this thing is running out of sandpaper, which is happening very, very often because it only has 8 uses. But anyway, yeah, every time it runs out, it sends a signal and it crafts a new little bit of sandpaper. Instead of just stockpiling the stuff, I just think it's cooler to have that piece of the machine constantly running. It's just more fun to look at, basically. So yeah, that's how we make electron tubes. Now, this one here is for precision mechanisms. So same principle, we just put as many gold ingots as we want precision mechanisms. They get flattened into sheets. And now they go through this loop where they get applied cogwheels, large cogwheels, and iron nuggets. I always forget what's in there. And then they go back, they get pulled into this funnel here, and they get sent back there. And they go through the loop. They have to go 5 times through that loop. And there's a chance when it's done that it will turn into a precision mechanism. So just like that, it will not get pulled by that funnel, so it's going to go through and end up here. But there's also a chance that we will get some other stuff just like that, so this stuff will just stay in that barrel so we can collect it and do whatever we want to do with it afterwards. And finally, this last one here, this last machine is for casings. So we have a lot of wood in this chest. And if we put whatever metal we want to make casing out of in this barrel here, they will get sent one by one into this ejector, which will shoot them into this deployer, and every time the ejector gets powered, or every time it launches, it will send one single piece of wood, so that way we don't have anything backing up on the belt. We just have the exact amount that we need, and everything ends up in this barrel here. Perfect, just like we want. So that's 3 very cool machines done. But this place still feels kind of empty, especially, you know, in the higher parts of the place. Especially considering that the main door is on the hypothetical 2nd floor and we can only get there via scaffolding, which is stupid because it's been there for like 6 months. So yeah, I'm just gonna build a 2nd floor, and there's just a few little more things that I want to build in here. So let's do some decorating first. And just like that, this little factory that we've had for a little while now, it has a proper entrance. So if we head inside, that's the 2nd floor. I had to put in a balcony, of course, to look down at the machines while they're running. It looks so cool. It would have been so silly to cover it all up. So yeah, had to put that, but I wasn't too sure what to put on this 2nd floor, so I made this little press machine. Sometimes we just need to make a lot of sheets, and yeah, these barrels are just gonna make things a bit more convenient. And I also had to put a mechanical crafter. Actually, I wasn't too sure where to put my mechanical crafter, so I put it here, and we have this little balcony staircase thingy to give us an easy access to the top row, even though I think they're still accessible from the floor, but it looks cooler with that. Just roll with it, please. And we have this cool little display screen back there, which shows us everything that is stored inside of this vault down there. So we have all the items that we are gonna need for the machines that we've built today. They're all stored in that vault. And yeah, vaults are kind of notoriously bad at telling you how much stuff there is in them, since you can't actually open their inventory. So yeah, having this screen, it really helps, you know, knowing what we're short on and what we need to bring next time and all of that. And on that note, that's gonna be it for today's episode, because I really have to go and install those rotation speed controllers that I was able to build with today's machine. I gotta go install them in all my other sectors. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Wait. I can't show you the big inauguration of my fantastic new train network just yet, so let's roll this episode back a bit. So to help give this project just a bit of context, this world is split into 4 sectors, all connected together by train tracks. And until today, I'd been driving my own train everywhere I went, like a peasant, which is simply put unacceptable. So I went back to Sector 1 and built a new factory where I could make everything related to trains, including the trains themselves. For this new factory, I kept Azurine as my main block, like everything else in this sector, but to make things a bit different, I used Scorchia for the roof and Limestone as a secondary color to break the bright blue of the wall a bit. And on the inside, it gave us a lot of space to build everything we needed. So I started on the bottom floor, where I built a steam engine, as well as all the machines to craft train-related stuff. First, we needed obsidian powder, so I put this pump to spit lava right underneath this waterlogged stairs and put a drill to break the obsidian block that will form there. The obsidian then gets thrown into some crushing wheels, producing obsidian powder. But there is a chance that we get the obsidian block back, so I put these tunnels to filter our products, sending the block back into the crushing wheels and the powder into this barrel. So far, obsidian powder is only used to make sturdy sheets, but that might change in the future, so we're keeping a small stock of it, and we're sending the excess into this assembly line, where it gets splashed by lava and bunked twice, turning it into the sturdy sheets that we need. And since those sturdy sheets can be used to turn brass casings into train casings, I added a small assembly line that does that automatically. The second machine we needed to build was a train track machine. This one starts out with a cobblestone generator, where some of the cobblestone gets smelted into stone, then cut into slabs with this saw, then sent on the assembly line. And the rest of the cobblestone gets crushed into gravel, then washed to get the iron nuggets that will supply the assembly line. And with just that, we get train tracks. This leaves us with a completely empty top floor, an ideal spot to build our trains. To get the train network I had envisioned, we needed a train for each sector, so 4 trains in total. We'll make another one to deliver lava around the place eventually, but that's a project for another episode. The trains we're building today will need a locomotive and 2 wagons, one for passengers and one for merchandise. And to make them really cool, each train will be specifically themed to its sector. For Sector 1, I decided to focus on the snowy cold theme. So I used iron for the frame of the whole thing and used some dark oak trapdoors for the sides since they worked very well with the color of the iron parts. And to top it off, the entire roof and windows are made out of ice and a bit of light blue glass just to emphasize its link to the coldest sector. I have to be honest, the train for Sector 2 was the one that I was the least inspired for. Being a farming rural area, I thought a more rustic looking train would be best, so basically I just took the first train that I had built a few episodes back, added a carriage for passengers, and included a few oak trapdoors and signs to make it look a bit more rustic. And with just that, we ended up with something that really worked well with Sector 2. For Sector 3, I already had a very clear plan in mind, but I really wasn't sure if it was gonna come out right. Being the sector related to wood and plants, I wanted to make it out of logs and leaves. So instead of using holes like for the other trains, I just put some oak and spruce logs and some wooden brackets to round things off a bit. With its green tint, zinc felt like the perfect material to use for railings and other metallic accents, and the leaves that we added on top really helped pull the whole thing together, making a very unusual train that clearly indicates the theme of its sector. Sector 4 being our sector with everything weird and supernatural, its train really needed to feel strange and out of this world. I started building it with some darker blocks like industrial iron and added some andesite alloy to make the palette feel a bit paler. Then red nether bricks helped make it more colorful, but it still looked too normal, so I thought we could have some stuff growing on it like nether warts or crimson roots, but sadly all of these blocks would break when the train assembled, so instead I built some custom mushrooms with shroom lights and prismarine, as well as a few nether brick spikes. And with that, we had a train for each sector, but they still could not drive themselves, so we had to go out and hire some reliable conductors. An enthusiastic goat for the cold Sector 1, a trusty llama for the serene Sector 2, an adorable fox for the wild Sector 3, and a very angry pig for Sector 4. But we still had one very important thing missing, a nice place where these trains could connect. I mean, we already had a place right here on top of my storage, but what we needed was a nice place, so I had to make it pretty. What I wanted was a big train hub where we can see all the trains upon exiting the elevator. So I thought having each station staggered like on a staircase would be the best way to go. In terms of block palette, I wanted something very neutral to bring attention to the trains themselves and nothing else. So I kept the mix of limestone, deep slate and andesite that was already present in the elevator shaft. Then we had to connect all the trains' inventories to the storage down below, so I made a little system that collects the contents of each train, drops the items on a belt, and calls a vault elevator. It can then fill it and send it back down to the storage floor, all of it done automatically. And to send items into the trains, we have this second vault elevator that brings items up. All we have to do is select the sector where the items will be sent, and the rest will all be done automatically. And with that, you are finally up to date with our fully functional train hub. Now we can have an official inauguration. It is now episode 10 in this series, and I still don't have a single enchanted tool or piece of gear. We really need to take care of that, so let's head to Sector 2 and get some librarians. Oh, and before we actually get started, there is one big lie in this episode, so if you figure it out, write it in the comments, and the first person that gets the right answer will get to name today's big build. So now, on to Sector 2. So far, Sector 2 does not have all that many building. There's this little warehouse here and the chocolate factory with a windmill. And the build that I've designed for my librarians is gonna be quite big, so I don't want to put it here and just make the rest look little. Instead, we're gonna go in that direction and put it right there on top of the hill. It's gonna be kind of a library, but like fancy, almost like mansion-like library. So I think it's gonna look cool if we put it up here on top of the hill, kind of overlooking the little village. There's gonna be a bunch of other little buildings here and there, so I think it's gonna look pretty cool. And dang it, it's nighttime. I have time. For the main block palette, or for the block palette, we're gonna be using Scoria as the main block, some Scoria variants, not gonna be that one exactly. And we're going to be using Ochrum and Tough as accents. That's going to be like the main block palette. There's going to be other stuff, but that's the first layer of that. And that is the library, but before we head inside, I gotta mention, the big lie was not about like not using dark oak. I just forgot to mention it before starting the time-lapse, okay? I know it's a main block on the second floor. It's not the lie. The lie was bigger than that, or will be bigger than that. So let's just head inside, where you will see that it's literally just a corridor. It's a lot smaller than it seems from the outside. Just this corridor on this side here, it's leading to the tower, which is completely empty. I have no idea what to put in here, so if you have any suggestions, please write them down in the comments. I would really appreciate it. And on the other side of the corridor, we have this big room. That's where we're gonna put our librarians. We're gonna give them some good books to write. And yeah, not decorated yet, because I don't really have a good access to bookshelves or bookcases, things like that, so we're just gonna figure all of that out once we start getting librarians. And the reason why it's so small, if we can go back to that, the reason why it's so small is that, well, it's expandable. So this corridor here, well, we could push back this wall a bit, extend the corridor, and have like some other wings for this little building. But I don't really have any good uses for anything more than what we currently have, so yeah, I was just planning ahead instead of just making that one little room. We can also head upstairs, so we have this little platform here that lifts us up, also known as an elevator. Don't know why I didn't just say it like that. Again, upstairs, just a corridor, which leads to this other area, that little balcony that we saw from down there. So we're gonna have some more librarians up here. But to get librarians, we're gonna need emeralds. And what better way to get emeralds in the farming sector than to make a big farm and trade with some farmers. So yeah, we already have a little villager breeder going. You might notice some clues about the existence of a villager breeder, so we're gonna put them to good use in that tiny little marketplace here. Just 3 stalls, all containing farmers that trade for carrots and potatoes, each one of them. I specifically picked them for that because that's what we're harvesting in the farm over there. So harvesting carrots and potatoes, bringing everything into this vault where we can pick up our veggies and we can find a farmer that will trade some emeralds for those veggies. And when we're done trading, we can throw the emeralds into this chute. It's gonna send the emeralds to the library over there, and we can drop the excess veggies into this chute here, and it's gonna send everything back into the vault. So it's pretty simple, pretty efficient system. I'm very happy with that. And the farm over here is... I forgot to decorate it. Okay, we need to take care of that. Give me a second. That's a bit better. So the farm itself is super simple. There's this arm, it's moving across the field, and the harvesters are collecting all the veggies. And when it reaches the end, it's gonna spin around. There we go. Set itself up to go on another run across this other side of the field, and yeah, that's all there is to it. With just that, we are getting tons of emeralds. Well, with that and the farmers, of course, but we don't only need emeralds. So if we go and head down here to this tiny little warehouse, we have a cool little machine. We can barely even call that a machine, it's just one little thing. There's this barrel here. If we put sugarcane in it and we go into free cam mode across the wall, you can see we are smashing that sugarcane into paper, because we need paper to train librarians as well. So yeah, all of that is gonna go and join with the belt that carries the emeralds, and everything ends up in the basement of the library, which we can access using this new little elevator. There we are. We got emeralds, we got paper. We are now officially ready to train librarians. That is fantastic. So we're midway through training our villagers, and I have to say, these little seats that we're getting from Create, they work wonders. They just keep the villagers in place, and it makes things a whole lot easier. But something that's a bit less easy is getting books, because as I said earlier, I don't have access to leather. But luckily, we have bookshelves which we can trade from villagers, and then we can just, you know, break them and get books, which is fantastic until you put Silk Touch on your diamond axe like a dum-dum. So I don't have access to books anymore because I took some bad decisions. But we are gonna make some better decisions now. We're gonna make a machine that's gonna do that bit for us automatically. So let's head down to the basement, which is maybe a bit too small, but do not worry. I've already extended the room. We're gonna clear out that wall later. That's not the point for right now. So what we're gonna do, it's actually gonna be super easy. We're gonna have a drill not facing the wall, ideally, like so. And we are gonna put a deployer right here. Why did it place it like that? That's weird. If I do it like that, no. Okay, anyway. I thought it would connect the shafty bit with the shaft, but anyway, yeah. Deployer like that. So the deployer is gonna put a bookcase here, and the drill is gonna break the bookcase into books, and we're gonna collect all the books and all of that. So all we have to do now is connect it to some power and manage the whole inventory thing, just like that. So I had to move it just one block to the right, but it is fully functional. Let's take a look at that thing in action. We can throw some bookshelf there. They are gonna get placed and broken. It's perfect, and also they're moving one by one just because I think it's a lot cooler to see. And with all of that done, we were finally able to decorate the library part of the library, this room here. So we now have a huge pillar full of books. Just not sure how to pick that one right there on top, for example, but you know, that's not my problem, that's their problem. So they all have their little isolated nooks where they can work. But like if these two are super chatty, well, they won't be bothering these 3, so everyone's gonna be super productive. That's fantastic. And on that note, that's how we are gonna end today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. I'm really glad with all the progress that we've made in Sector 2. It's really coming along super nicely, so thank you for watching and bye bye. And that was it, 10 episodes in, and that's where we're at now. Stay tuned for the rest of what we have planned to make this the best world we can imagine. There is a lot more coming soon. Bye!